Welcome and thank you for joining me for round two of what I consider the most dominant German path where they formed the EU. In part one, we switched to democracy and solved our resource crisis. Round two, what I consider the most boring part, is building up the infrastructure and executing Sudetenland and taking Czechoslovakia. This is really all that's going to be taking place in preparation for round three, where we go ahead and start the World War II with the invasion of Poland. So right now, this is what we're going to be working for. Building our infrastructure and annexing Czechoslovakia. So here we are right where we left off from round one. We've got armies getting deployed and relocated. This is all a good thing. Let's hit F2 and let's go ahead and take some of our earnings or our booty from the end of the war with the Netherlands, in particular our subs, and let's create our own fleet. Let's change the icon for the fleet. This is cosmetic. It doesn't make it work better or worse. But that fleet of submarines is going to train into infinity out of this naval dockyard. So I have a surface training fleet and a submarine training fleet. The rest of the former Dutch surface fleet will join the existing surface training fleet. So now that we have two different types of training fleets, that gives me the flexibility to come back down here and take my submarine and have them auto deploy to the submarine training fleet when they are manufactured. You can see that I still have a problem with convoys. I do not have enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and build 150 convoys and prioritize all of my dockyards on building convoys until 150 are built. Then I will drop the priority of convoys and let them get built just with excess dockyards. So right here, top priority until 150 are built. After 150, these will disappear from the queue and I'll be building dockyards, or not dockyards, I'll be building convoys at the bottom of the queue, the lowest priority. So where do we go from here? That's why we're currently show zero is we got 180 currently transferring troops. So similar to my loss to France, losing all my convoys, when the Netherlands and the Dutch East Indies lost to me, I gained their convoys. So that's why I only had, like 40-ish, if that, at the beginning of the war, and now I've got 184 because I got the convoys from the losing country or countries. So troops are relocating. This is all good news. It's all good stuff. But I said previously, this is the boring part. This is where we're simply babysitting our manufacturing. So I've got several items in the queue out here. I am prioritizing trying to get those civilian factories built, but I also need to build infrastructure here, which gives me an acceleration to building the aerodynamics and avionics research facility. The reason I want to build that early is because I want to study radar and unlock radar. Radar is going to significantly affect my ability to control the air zones out here and over Germany, but in particular over these sea zones to shut down the French and the British navies when I go to war in World War II. So that's why I'm doing that. And I also want to build military factories here, and I want to build more dockyards here. So that's my queue. This is the boring part. That's my just watch and wait. So I'm sitting pretty good for right now. What you just saw there was what I can no longer influence because I'm democratic, is I can no longer influence what the Dutch think of me versus the United Kingdom. The Dutch can influence it on their own, and I had a bizarre RNG behavior on one of my playthroughs in practicing this, where the Dutch sided with the Germans, which was a very bad thing because it crippled my ability to invade the Netherlands. So hopefully that doesn't happen on this playthrough. Normally they side with the British, they join the Allies, etc., and I can steamroll them a second time. So I always want to see this number climb. The higher this number is and the lower this number is, the British then can influence the Netherlands to join or side with them and, in a nutshell, join the Allies at some point. But we're in good shape right now. All right. I'm going to just unpause and speed things up. I don't need to be running at speed 3 anymore. How are we looking here? Still 20 days, 19 and counting down till I get my 5th research slot. That's the next biggest event thing that's going to be happening for Germany. Let's see how my production deficits look. I'm still short on infantry equipment. I'm still short on artillery, trucks, support equipment. I'm short on many things here, which will get resolved once I start getting into manufacturing or building the military factories. But for right now, I need my civilian factories up and running. So here's my 5th research slot. Now I'm going to chase these two and then this one. And the reason I'm chasing them is this frees up more civilian factories. It reduces the penalty of recovering economy. So with my 5th research slot, what do I want to research? I've got all of those critical ones taken care of. I'm going to look out here, looking good there. We've got bonuses that we're not going to leverage yet. I'm going to go ahead and just study or research some infantry skills at this point. Almost done there. So I still have 13 being fabricated. That'll put me at 70 whatever, quite a few, 70 many. So for those who may have questioned, do the Führer advisors still function in a democratic Germany? What does a pop-up like this tell you? Absolutely, and I still have faith in them. Keep working for me. Do I have the ability to pick more? Nope, I don't. I only got my 2. Can I see them related to the Führer anymore? Nope, I'm not fascist Germany. Therefore, I've lost a view of that. So I can't manipulate him, but I do have 2. And this guy, in another 100 days, is going to unlock a decision that will give me 1 additional build slot in every state on the primary territory of Germany. All right, we're looking good there. Where do we want to go next? Let's knock out some 1936 artillery tech. That should disappear because it's not unassigned. My struggle right now in making this part 2 video is trying to sound excited about the most boring part, and I apologize for that. So we've lowered taxes. Now we're going to abolish price controls. Let's look out here. We've got 3 full 15 factory tech queues executing with a bonus 1 factory tech queue. So when we drop it another 15%, we're going to see this number go down. And you're going to see that third from the bottom line, recovering economy, go from 40 to 25. Less of an impact. Let's get this tech knocked out of the equation. So actually, I think I already know what I'm going to do as far as focuses are concerned. I'm going to finish this one. Then I'm going to finish this one. Then I'm going to take out Czechoslovakia, which is 3 focuses, a 70, a 35, and a 70. And when this one completes, I will claim all of Czechoslovakia. I will not create a puppet state. So this one's done. I'm going to do this one next because it increases construction speed by an additional 5% across the board. So we went from 1 extra to 4 additional, so 5 extra armies, or not armies, 5 extra civilian factories. And we're still building civilian factories. This is all a good thing. These will just simply get built 5% faster here shortly. So this one is going to take 30 days, 29, and counting down. I don't care about the Danes at this point, so they can do whatever they want. I don't need their help. So if you look up here, Germany, Democratic Germany that is, has created the lion's share portion of world tension, but they're going to be quiet for a while, so that number will be dropping. However, Japan will be going to war shortly, and they're going to start generating and adding to the world tension out here. So how many days left? 8 days and counting till this queue is completed. Okay, now I'm building 5% faster. Fantastic. Let's get Sudetenland out of the equation. So this is getting built with 15. Let's knock out our infrastructure so that this builds faster. So currently this is taking 216, etc., counting down. You're going to see that number drop a decent percentage when this goes to level 4 infrastructure. That's 2 days away. 209, 208, 207, and then all of a sudden 181. One of the things I stated early in the game was infrastructure, higher infrastructure accelerates construction of everything else. So that's what you just witnessed there, is going from level 4, or excuse me, level 3 to level 4 infrastructure. And in 16 days, this is going to drop another decent percentage for its build time. So let's jump out here to dispersed industry. Now that that's decided, what do I want to research next? It's 37. I'm going to go ahead and knock out field hospitals. I use field hospitals as part of my templates to reduce the number of troops I permanently lose and to keep up their experience. I like to use them. Not everybody does. I find them advantageous. So this is going to unlock another area I can research, which will be the logistics company. Let's look at construction. We still got 9 days left, 8 days and counting. Oh, I got an additional factory assigned, which shortened the build cycle. So 2 things are going to take place when this completes. When this completes, this is going to move up, and it's going to move from 10 to 15 factories, which is going to reduce its build time. But it's also going to be at level 5 infrastructure, which will reduce it even further. So I'm speculating maybe under 100 days to build once it happens. 93 days to build. That's great. So we are starting to build our military factories now. That's good. That's going to help address. Oh, and one of the things I should have done earlier, and I haven't done it yet, is let's go ahead and add trucks to the queue out here. I'm going to have 10 trucks, and I'm also going to add trains to the queue out here. I need to start building trains. I'm going to put it at the top, and I'm only going to give it 3 factories. I don't need 20 military factories building infantry equipment right now, so I'm going to pull 20 or 10 off 3 go here, 7 go here. Now I can reassign the order. You'll go below tanks. Looking good. And that'll be good enough for now. Oops. One of the things I forgot is when you lose a war. So ever since I lost to France, I've had 0 dockyards available to repair ships. I'm going to make it 10. And notice there were quite a few ships that needed to be repaired. So let's get my ships repaired. Since we're not really in a sea combat situation right now, it wasn't horrible that that took place, but it wasn't good either. So we are getting ships repaired to 100% strength again. All right. We got another completed research item. Let's go ahead and knock these 2 out as my next 2 I'm going to research. This guy's got 81 days to go. We're in good shape there. So how are we looking? We got 10 here, 5, 5, looking good. Now we should be in the process of closing our deficit here. Fantastic. All right, our first of the Czechoslovakian focuses. We get Sudetenland, which is 3 states, and they all become cores of Germany. Now I've got a 35-day focus, so it's August of 37. We're doing our second one right now, which is a 35-day focus. Then we do a 70-day focus, and then all of Czechoslovakia will be ours. Now in doing so, because they're now under control of Germany, I can see that I've got 2 military and 2 civilian factories, which are now building stuff for me. I have 5 slots available, nothing currently active. And over here in this state, I've got 1 military factory. So I gained some factories out of that, some military factories in particular. So you can see that my trucks are almost backfilled completely. I only need 1 mill left to complete that. And I've got 12 out here. Oh, I'm in great shape. This is a fantastic situation to be in. So I'm going to start queuing up more mills to be built. And I'm going to queue up infrastructure to get built and military factories to get built. So again, just predefining how I want and what I want built and where I want it built. So got another free research slot, and let's go ahead and get maintenance companies. So a little more than halfway through 37, we still have a functional military. It's not ready to go to war with the Allies yet, but it's a functional military. And we've got infantry equipment, not enough to go to war. We're not going to go to war with the Allies until 39. So we've got 2 years to continue to build our military. Trucks going to be backfilled here shortly. And available special projects. Let's go ahead and give that guy a special project to do. And how many days do we have left? 40 days left. First Vienna Award, we're almost done. It's September. So before the end of 1937, Anschluss, or not Anschluss, the capitulation or the annexation of all of Czechoslovakia will be complete. So I'm going to keep repeating it because I feel it. This is the boring part. Part 2 is boring. Have to do a little bit of cleanup work here and there. I'm forcing all of my Yellow Army to stay around Czechoslovakia, and they don't need to babysit that portion of Hungary. So one thing I do have enough supplies for is I'm going to go ahead and click on the field marshal. Nobody's assigned as a field marshal, but the organizational structure of the field marshal. And I'm going to shift click exercise, which is tell everybody or every division to train until you're level 3. The Green Army is already fully trained, so it's not going to train. It's going to immediately stop. But the Yellow and the Orange Army, they need some training. And because my truck supply is being backfilled quite rapidly, I'm also going to increase their motorization so that we get rid of our reds and oranges. All right, we limited them, but haven't completely got rid of them yet. Let's take a peek out here and see how things look. Or actually, let's go here, logistics. I currently have 47 in my stockpile, and I need 660. So by changing my motorization level, it created a demand for trucks, but it's going to be less than 100 days before it's backfilled. So that could be worse. I do need 14 trains, so I'm glad I'm building trains now. And completed another critical uh, research item to enhance or increase the amount of oil I have available. I'm also going to study excavation 1 and 2. Those will be my next 2 items I research. So I'm going to be patient, let trucks build themselves out. I am, however, going to start building airplanes. Oh, and when I say building airplanes, I'm going to go ahead and just pick my fighter. I'm going to assign it a different MIO than normal and give it 5. Let's go ahead and do my dive bombers, my close air support, and I'm also going to start building my naval bombers and give them 5. I am going to restructure where they are in the queue simply so I can manage them better. And of the 150 convoys I was demanding to have built, I only have 41 left, so I'm going to be in a good convoy position. I will need lots of convoys when World War II breaks out because shipping rubber from Indonesia back to Germany will take a lot of convoys. How are we looking out here? 650 and counting down, 43. Looking really good there. I could care less about these. I always say no. I'm not going to help any of those countries that say help. Afghanistan is ignored. Greece will be ignored. Yugoslavia will be ignored. I don't care about any of them. All right, got another item to research. We're at 37. Let's jump here because I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of my bonus. Oh, what did I say I was going to do next? I'm not doing it yet. So I was going to do excavation. Let's do excavation tech. All right, we are looking really, really strong here. Oh, looks like I've completed fantastic. Um, my research facility for airplane tech. And this is the scientist I want assigned there because he's a radar specialist. When this gets to 100%, we're currently at 81. When it gets to 100%, we can then add radar as a research tech. So it will take a little bit of time for right now. So let's come back out here. Let's drop this guy back as the trains are at the bottom. They're the lowest priority. I need trucks above airplanes right now because I have a critical deficit of trucks. So how are we looking out here? We're looking really good. Got lots of military factories queued up to be built. And we've got 22, 21 days left until Czechoslovakia is mine. So we're at 37. Is there anything special I need to do here? Not there. Oh, I was going to do this right here. Let's take advantage of accelerating my research even further. Something I've been ignoring, and I'm just going to get it done right now, is I've been ignoring making my Mayo decisions. So this is not a Mayo decision tree tutorial. I already know what I want, so I'm just going to pick them. I would suggest you do a little bit of research, figure out what you want, how you want it, oh, and make your decisions according to your preferences. I am doing shift click in decision making. The reason I'm doing shift click is so that I'm never pestered about these decisions again in the game. They'll automatically switch to the next in the queue or in the order in which I pick them. So I didn't do this one. Let's get this one done. There, I picked those Mayos. This will disappear from my pay attention to stuff list of things to do. I wasn't paying attention and I didn't execute on this. It's not critical that I execute on it early, but this is the one I was telling you about that unlocks, that gives me the ability to add an additional build slot to every state here in the quote unquote continental Germany. So I'm just clicking on these. They cost 50 political power each. They take 30 days to complete. Upon completion, every state, for instance, this one says, I'm too blind here, that I've got 11 of, oh, no. It says I have 11 slots unlocked. I'll have a 12th slot unlocked. That's what will happen when it completes. And this state here says I've got 8 unlocked. I'll have 9 unlocked. Again, we're just unlocking additional build slots in 30 days. So that means I can augment all of these by one additional military factory. I could augment this by a civilian factory. I've got plenty of civilian factories. I'm not going to augment them any further. So, need to make a decision on my next research item. I'm going to go ahead and knock out smoke generators. Yeah, that facilitates my navies escaping from combat as needed. There it is. There's the fate of Czechoslovakia decision. I'm going to be taking all. That's intentional, specifically when I'm chasing democratic Germany. And I'm going to be chasing forming the EU. This is an intentional decision. What did I say about most of these, about Yugoslavia and other countries? I don't care. I'm taking that bottom choice. So that one's done. What do I want to do next? Let's go ahead and just knock this one out. Actually, scratch that. We're coming up here. We're going to do these 3 next. We're doing this one so we get 2 dockyards. We're doing this one so we get our naval advisor. We're doing this one so we get 2 more dockyards. So we're going to get 4 dockyards out of those 3 35-day focuses. So my yellow army is no longer bordering anything because the Czechoslovakian territory was absorbed by Germany, but I am going to assign them to this field marshal order just simply to keep them structured and organized. No good reason other than cosmetic at this point. But they are training. They're still training. That's a good thing. Let's hit F4. Hey, and look, everything, well, almost everything is green. Or is not red, I should say. Let's take a peek out here. I've now have 89 bonus fighters. Hit F3. I'm going to organize my air wings. And I'm going to start training my fighters, and I'm going to start training my bombers. And what the heck? I'm going to go ahead and train these guys and shift click to train my guys there as well. Let's look at distribution. Yeah, I've got close air support. All 5 military factories are assigned. We've got 1 of 5 on the naval bombers. We're looking really good. And I'm still building 16 here, which just went up. Why did it go up? It went up because we finished those 30-day critical decisions, which added a build slot to all of those states. So I've got more that I just built out there, or more that I've queued up to build out there. All right, let's take care of our research. I don't like researching support companies in advance unless I've got a big bonus to research. So I won't be doing any work out there at this point. I am eventually going to do tank tech, but I think I'm going to jump on this first, the infantry tech. So December 37, we're still just shy of 2 years before we go to war with Poland. How does Germany look now, population-wise? We have 77, so we went from 73 to 77 million population. And what did I say about that non-core population, that it was going to jump to be pretty big? Yeah, that's because of Indonesia. That's why I have 72 million non-core population. So our first dockyard tech is done. Our second naval tech doesn't give us dockyards, but it does enable this guy right here. So we're going to want to do that. Oh, we are just making the German military stronger and stronger day by day as we can continue to build out our military factories. These guys are getting close to completing their training. Orange is done. Yellow is practically done. It's done. So they're all trained to level 3. That's fantastic. All right, I have backfilled all my military factories. Now I've got to make decisions for what we're going to do next. I need to build more support equipment and more artillery at a higher priority than I do my airplanes, but my airplanes will get augmented number of factories as well. But most important that I had to build a little while ago were my trucks, and I have backfilled all my trucks. This puts me in a great position. So 2 of the 3 naval focuses that I prioritized are done. Let's do the last one, which will give me dockyards. And when that one is complete, I get 2 additional, so I'll actually start building submarines. My next research tech. How am I looking? I'm looking good here. I'm not ready to do any of that tech yet. I do need to knock out my infantry tech first. Boom. Then I'm going to do my tank tech, and then I'm going to do some of my naval tech. Those are my mental flags I'm setting. So I'm still 18 months out from attacking Poland. Hooray! Let's take a peek out here. Look, England is already guaranteeing the independence of Poland. Fantastic. Let's look here. Wonderful. Great Britain. You're going to dominate the Netherlands and end up influencing them to join the Allies. That's what I was hoping for. I don't need any of this influence occurring. All right. case you're still thinking, did those Fuhrer advisors, are they really doing anything for me? Well, I'm going to put the mouse pointer over here, political power, and you can see below political power, the third and fourth line, Reich Minister of Armaments. That's from Todt, T-O-D-T. That's from that engineering guy. He's influencing and taking away political power. But the secretary to the Fuhrer, that's Bormann, he's trying to counter it. Not quite enough, but counter it a little bit. So yes, they are still active. They are still influencing uh, uh, the democratic side of Germany. You don't have to have the Fuhrer to take advantage of them. So let's look up here. Uh, we also have enhancements to construction speed up here that we can see. We're looking fantastic. All right, there is our third focus. That third focus gave us an additional dockyard. Now we're actually building submarines, which I do need. Um, and we have 18 months to fill out my submarine fleet. So I may play with that, I may not. Let's look at our construction. I've got 5 more dockyards. I'm going to be okay. One is going to be completed in 6 days. Now we're going to be fine. I say that now, but we'll see if that's reality later on. So I need to pick a new focus. My next focus is going to be right here, 70-day focus to get the Ruhr Dam completed in the Rhineland state. That will give me 2 additional build slots, so I should be able to bump that up by 2 more once it's done. It also accelerates all construction in that state. It'll accelerate construction of the infrastructure, and then it will accelerate, or in addition, it will accelerate construction of the military factories. I've been sleeping, or have I not been sleeping? Do I have a 1 yet? No, I do not have a 1 yet. Good, we're at 88%. I thought I had missed my opportunity to start radar as soon as possible, but I did not. Good. Computing machine, that increases that. Let's go ahead and knock out our next level of radio. Let's see how quickly this is getting addressed. That's going along at a decent pace. Excavation 1 is done. Good. Excavation 2 is next in the queue. And let's go ahead and knock out that medium tank, or get it researched. Knock it out, get it researched. I mean the same thing. So I've got 4 full 15 factory queues active at once. This is fantastic for Germany. Excavation 2 is done. All that does is it augments the extracted unit count by an additional, what is it, 10%? Yeah, excavation 1 gave me 10%. Excavation 2 gave me an additional 10%. So we've got more tungsten, more chromium, which are the 2 I'm shortest on than I had before. Looking good. Oh, let's get another research item selected here. Now let's go ahead and get armor for tanks. Got another Mayo for a decision tree here. I'm pre-selecting all my decisions for the entire Mayo decision tree. How are we looking here? Are we in the 90s? Yep, 93. Oh, wonderful. 6 percentage points, or less than 6 percentage points to go. Less than 5. item researched. We're at May of 38. Let's get better engines for tanks. As soon as this hits 100%, I'll be picking radar for the tech that they're going to research. Come on, hurry up. Again, the anticipation. I'm making it seem exciting, but it really isn't. Let's pick our next focus. And our next focus is actually going to be aviation tech. And we're almost there, 98. Come on, 1% to go. There we almost go. There we go. Let's start researching radar ASAP. We want that radar tech. So let's come out here to build. I completed the Ruhr Dam project, which gave me 2 additional build slots in Rhineland. Oh, looks like I have another Mayo to deal with related to trucks. That's not the one I want. This is the one I want. And off we go again. So, for those of you scratching your head, regretting watching this part of the video, I understand it, I respect it, but I want to give you every point and click if you want it. Skipping to the next video, which is the war with the Allies. That's a little more entertaining. This is doing the legwork so that that war goes smoothly. So I am about a little less than a year out. Let's take a peek at what we have here. I've got good amount of infantry equipment, support, trucks, yes, artillery, yes. I'm ready to knock out my 3 additional full armies. So I'm going to do three runs of 24. I'm going to deploy them right there. I need 6 24 division armies to accomplish the task that or the method that I'm going to defeat the Allies. Just wanted to give you a heads up there. So let's pick my next national focus. I'm going to be picking this one and this one to unlock another advisor. So something I haven't done yet, which I would have, could have, should have done, is come out here and pick this guy right here, because he gives us a wonderful daily naval experience of 0.4. So he's a fantastic naval advisor. After 2 more focuses, it will unlock this advisor. Now, something you may note is I'm playing Democratic Germany. Thus, I can unlock this advisor. If you're playing Fascist Germany, this advisor can't be unlocked. Just want you to be aware of that. All right, now I've got more military factories available. Where do I want to assign them next? I want to assign them to additional fighter construction, manufacturing. And I have 2 research slots. One I just filled. The other, I haven't decided quite what I want to do next. I may early bird this, but with July of 38, I'm actually going to early bird this one right here. I try to avoid researching text too early because there's too much of a penalty for researching early, but certain texts I do research early, and you just saw an example of that. Where's our light tank? Yeah, we've got enough light tanks. I'm going to go ahead and just start training them just to get that training done. We're already at 20, greater than 20%. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy these guys. I'm going to grab them, put them in an army, add that army under the same field marshal, change his color to this color, and then we need to pick another national focus. I already said what I was going to do, which is this one right here to unlock an additional air advisor. And I need to pick a new research item. It's 38. I'm looking good there. Let's do this one right here. Early bird study of that tech. Well, looks like I've got another Mayo to make decisions about. This one is for my medium tanks. This will be the Mayo I use when I start producing them. And I've got more Mayos to deal with. Let's go ahead and just knock out the Messerschmitt Mayo, which I could care less about, but I'm still going to make the appropriate decisions for it. This one does matter. I want to prioritize my small airframes first. So this is of the top that you can pick from. That's medium, that affects medium, that affects small. I want small. Then I'm going to come over here and knock out a medium so I gain access to this one that affects small, 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 small. And this one requires all of the following. Now, excuse me, this one, which is also all of the following, which is this guy and this guy. So those are smalls. Then I'm going to come over here and do this medium, and then that unlocks this one that affects small and medium. Mediums only, small and medium, and right here, small and medium. The rest are mediums, so I just pick the rest. There, Mayo's selected. So reorganize the Luftwaffe is going to free up or enable the Chief of Air Force named Helmuth Weilberg, and he is the best advisor you can have in that, the Chief of Air Force you can have. So, looks like it's time to make decisions on infrastructure again. So let's do infrastructure, 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 mills, 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 mills. There. That's easy enough. So I've got 24 and 19 puts us at 43 mills queued up that are all getting built as quickly as possible. Build some infrastructure and then knock out an additional, what do I have here? 13. 43 and 13. 56 mills still being built for the war with the Allies. Let's take a peek up here. I have a total of 88 civilian factories, one of which is coming from Trade 87 on premise, so to speak. And I've got 77 mills with another 56 being built. Germany can outproduce any and all countries militarily here once those queues are cleared. No one comes even close to building military equipment as rapidly as Germany. This was why we're going to be able to dominate the Allies. Our manpower losses we need to deal with, but our military equipment losses we can backfill easily. So we're not worried about that. So August 38, we're going to go ahead and early bird research these artillery techs. That's what we're doing next. How are we looking on assignments? Got 4 more to go there. Looking good, but I need to deploy these guys. Done. Deployed. One more group getting built. Let's give them an organizational structure officially, give them a color, put them under the field marshal. These guys have a location they're going to. They're going to be defending and attacking in Indonesia. But their starting order is defend the naval bases on those three islands. That's their starting order. And my pink army, or magenta army, you're going to relocate to here. And that's it for now. We got one more army we're going to be deploying, and that won't be too long from now. So we're looking like we don't have a lot of convoys. We actually do. We've got 300, almost 350 convoys, but a lot are being used to transfer troops currently. All right. Not so much for supply, not so much for trade. But once troop transport is complete, then they become available. So I've got quite a few available currently. That's going to be critical here coming up. So September 20th, we're just a little less than a year away from declaring war on Poland, which triggers World War II. So with that in mind, I need to start prepping Indonesia for the war. Because one of the things I'm going to be doing in Indonesia is I'm going to be taking out British Malaya. And I'm going to hit the R key on the keyboard so you can see why I want to take out British Malaya. Look at all that rubber. Look at all that tungsten. The steel and aluminum is just bonus. More rubber, more oil. I want to take them out as rapidly as possible, not just to gain those resources, but to deny Britain access to those resources, crippling Britain's ability to produce anything having to do with rubber. So we've already crippled the Dutch East Indies. They have zero rubber production. But again, we're still using the R key, so if they had developed rubber here, we would see it, and there is none. Britain's rubber comes from here, and we're taking it all early in World War II. France has rubber from here. Britain does have a smidge of rubber up here and a smidge of rubber here, but they also have rubber from here. But their largest amount of rubber was coming from British Malaya, and we're going to be taking that away from them. They are not going to have access to it anymore. And that means that we have access to it. So this is all a good thing. So next thing I want to do is I want to increase my support equipment and my artillery production. The reason I'm doing that is I'm going to be modifying my infantry template, which requires more support equipment, a lot more support equipment, a lot more trucks, and a lot more artillery than are currently available. So I need to start building out those items. All right, got my armor updated, a little bit better armor. We're good there. We're approaching 39, but we're not there yet. I'm done there. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of ahead of the 8-ball research for that better artillery gun. And as long as we're knocking out artillery tech for 39, let's do the same thing for the anti-air tech. There's our reorganized Luftwaffe. Let's go ahead and put this guy into the field. Fantastic. Now, what do we need to do next? We need to work down this tree down to here. The reason we want to work down to there is that starts unlocking our generals and our field marshals. So we have 2 selected. The rest we're going to unlock here shortly. How do we look on our training? We look really good. So let's go ahead and just deploy these guys early. They're going to get a color, and that color is going to be purple. I'm going to go ahead and give them a frontline order right there. However, to me, that is purple. That, when I don't put the mouse pointer on it, looks blue. So we're going to be shifting its color so it looks more distinct and not blue. There, that looks more purplish. Yes, this color shifted, but they're closer to matching than they were before. I don't quite understand the game and why it does that, but it does. So, in preparation for a conflict with the Allies, I'm going to also relocate portions of that army out here. So I've put a frontline order here. No, none of that army is currently assigned to it, but I'm going to take half the army plus holding the shift key down, 2 more, so 14, and I'm going to assign them here. I'm going to do another frontline order right here, and I'm going to take half of those 14, which is 7, and assign them here. I'm going to take 1 away from that 7 and 1 from the other 7, and I'm going to give it a fallback order right here and hold the control key down and click there. So I now have 24 divisions assigned to various orders. Why? Let's do a reminder. Why don't I want to lose this territory? Because I lose 96 aluminum. Why don't I want to lose this territory to the British? Because I don't want to lose my oil. So I'm going to put troops on there to defend it. So our 5 armies, or 6 armies I should say, are 1, to prevent France from just steamrolling, even though it might be a delayed based on the earlier AI execution, is France from steamrolling across Germany. I've got the pink army up here so I don't lose this territory as I'm taking over Poland, and they're going to do a jump start and jump into Danzig very early. And I'm going to be using this army. Eventually I will stretch the front line all the way over to be my primary invasion army. And then finally, this portion of that purplish army is to stop the Dutch, the people from the Netherlands, from getting any crazy ideas and rolling into Germany across this border. So that's why I've got 6. And don't forget, 4 up here, part of this here, the rest of this in South America, and this is in Indonesia. So that's where my armies are. That's my plan. And the Indonesian army in particular is going to be involved in taking British Malaya. So I've just told the pink and the blue army to start training. Let's look at our progress here. We do have to build out the infrastructure in Indonesia so that they don't struggle as much with supply out there. And one of the ways to solve supply issues is to build the infrastructure. There's another place I need to solve supply issues, and that's in South America. I'm not there yet, but eventually I will be. So, of the army focuses, 1 of 3 is already done. Let's do the second one. We still aren't into 39 yet, but we're still doing the boring stuff, doing our prep work so that the war with the Allies goes crazy, crazy fast and easy. All right, we've knocked that out. It is November of 38. We're right on the verge of 39. Even though I've got all those texts lined up already for 39, I'm going to jump ahead and get into manufacturing tech. So how many days do I have left out here? 117 and counting down. We're looking really good there. is proceeding. They have arrived, so I'm going to go ahead and just start training. They don't have a lot of supply. I understand that. They're still going to train out there, though. I'm going to try to change it. I just don't want to change it yet. Well, actually, I should just change it. Bite the bullet. Let's see if I've got these backfilled. Yes, I just got those two backfilled. That was critical for me. Now I don't feel bad about augmenting this and building a naval base there and connecting those two naval bases with a rail line. Yeah, those are critical build-outs. Anyway, we're on to our third and final army or critical army national focus. We're good there. We knocked both of those aviation techs down. Now let's jump back out here and do construction tech. A little bit early, but that's okay. Okay, got another research item knocked out. We're approaching 39, so my focus right now is construction and manufacturing. Construction and manufacturing. And oil. Oil's my next one. Okay, got that done. So now let's add 10 more to building our airplanes. And let's look at how much we have. We've almost completed backfilling our trains. Fantastic. We have backfilled our fighter jets. Fantastic. And we've fully backfilled our close air support and our naval bombers. So let's come back out here. Let's hit F3. Because I've got 300 out there, I'm going to go ahead and split these guys once and twice. Unpause. They're all backfilled with 100 planes each, and let's start training them. So I'm shift clicking to train. I had over 600, so I can easily split them in half and train those 600. And I also have, tell me they're all training. Yes, they are. Oh, I don't know why they're still assigned to the Green Army. I don't want them assigned to the Green Army, but I'll cry about that later. Let's go here, split these guys in half. I do have enough that I can just begin training them immediately, so they're full air wings. Okay. Now, what's our manufacturing speed? How do we look here? Well, it's going to be a while before we can actually start augmenting those. I do have another 300 here, but I'm not going to deploy them yet. All right, artillery tech done. Jump back out here. Let's get our oil tech researched, and we got another one that now that we're in 39 officially, let's go ahead and knock out that tech right there. Hey, Spain has almost won its civil war. Normally this ends a lot earlier. It doesn't impact me at all, so I could care less. Okay, we got that done. Let's complete Memel. I haven't done it yet, so let's take Memel by reassert Eastern claims. How are we looking here? I'm going to hit F4 just so I can see their supply. Their supply looks a lot better. That's good. Their infrastructure is almost done. Good. I need to get several items built out in Indonesia, train lines in particular. But that shouldn't take much time. Spanish Civil War is officially over. That's what that notification was. All right, we're looking good there. Looking good there. Looking fantastic there. How are we looking equipment-wise? I don't need a lot of infantry equipment. Wonderful. I do need artillery and support equipment. I need more than that. That kind of bothers me, but artillery is looking pretty good. So I'm glad I made my decision previously um, about adding 5 additional factories to support equipment. I'm going to trade because I do want to not have any excuses for um, slow manufacturing of artillery equipment. I am going to give up a civilian factory to get 8 tungsten out. So my artillery is still produced in as rapidly as possible. Okay, those are done. Now I can build my rail lines. One here to there, one here, connecting, connecting, connecting. Naval base here. Augment that, and no, I don't need that. There. That should do it. So that'll only take 20 days to build. Oh, there's my eastern claim. So I could, right now, because I've got a big enough army, I could trigger Danziger War. I'm not ready to do it, but I could do it. Here's my validation. I've completed this, and I've met the requirements up above to select this focus, but I don't want to do it yet. I'm going to wait on it. One of the reasons I'm waiting is I still want my Air Force to be stronger, and a couple other reasons. So I'm going to knock out this. Actually, I'm going to knock out this focus right here, which will prep me for how long do I have? 35 days. Nope, none of those unlock, so I'm not going to do that one yet. I lied. I'm a liar. My pants are on fire. I'm going to do this 70-day focus right here. And something else I haven't done, but I'm about to do, is I'm going to pick my offensive. Increases army experience daily, but also increases attack by 10%. So there's Memel is mine. I am going to enhance Memel slightly. Actually, there. I'm going to bump this up to an additional level of rail so that this will jump up to 20. It goes to 15 because it's a level 1 rail. It'll go to 20 once it's a level 2 rail. And the reason being is 20 comes from here. It can supply 20 to the other supply depots that it's attached to. There we go, 20, 20, 20. And let's go here. Let's augment their motorization level. There too. Let's hit F4 again. So we're not short on supply. We're able to get supply. Piece of cake. So I've got loads and loads of trucks at this point, or at least I should. Yeah, 6,000 trucks. I'm going to take all armies below that field marshal and augment them to highest motorization level. There. That even facilitates supply even further. And do I still have trucks left? Absolutely. I only took about 900 trucks to pull that off. Radar is done. March of 39. Fantastic. So if I click on construction, radar, you can see I'm already doing radar right there. So now I need to, between March and September, is get more fighters in the air. And I almost have 600 extra. So if I hit F3, and I want these guys to simply train, but I'm going to relocate them down here. They get unassigned, which is what I want, and then I'm going to split them in half. Now I should have 1,200 fighters there, all training. Fantastic. We have a little less than 1,200 wide because I've got to backfill a few fighters from here. But they're almost completely backfilled already. There they are, backfilled. So I want at least another 600, preferably 800 fighters between now and September. Total control of domestic. Yeah. Thanks, Martin Poorman. I appreciate you working for the the Democratic leader. Oh, all of my um, all of my rail lines in Indonesia were built. Now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to augment by 4 additional naval base levels, which will increase supply into that territory. It appears I don't need to, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I have a special project available. However, I don't need a tank specialist. I need an artillery specialist to do that project. So I switched out specialists. I've got another Mayo to deal with. This is the Junkers Mayo, which deals with my CAS. And how are we looking on production there? 60 extra fighters. How about CAS? 200 extra CAS. I want 200 more. I want 800 is what I want. And we're in April. How are we looking on supply stuff out here? 12,000 infantry equipment. I could care less. That's not what I'm going to be begging for. I'm going to be begging for support equipment and artillery, and I'm looking good. So I'm going to change my template. First thing I'm going to do before I change the actual template I'm using is I'm going to decommission templates I'm not using. I will be using this one eventually, so I'm not going to decommission it. I'm not going to use mountaineers, and I'm not going to use truck divisions. I'm going to take my current infantry division, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to modify it. I'm going to add field hospitals. I'm going to add logistic companies and combat support battalions, in particular artillery. And we'll add 2 of them, and I'll augment its prioritization for equipment. Any division that is flagged here as elite gets construction off the manufacturing line before all other divisions. So I want these guys to be constantly resupplied. Good, done. Now I'm going to take the blue, the one in Indonesia. They're the ones who need that augmentation the most. So I'll go ahead and assign it to them. So once the brown line, moves back to the top, which is 100% supplied, I'm going to go ahead and trigger them to train. So any day now should be 100% supplied. There we go. You guys start training, so you're level 300% supplied. Okay, how are we looking here? I need more fighters. More fighters. So I'm going to put 40 there, 10 there. How are we looking on fabrication? We're looking really good here. Okay. So, this army, the Green Army, I want you built out similarly. So I currently have 48,000 manpower is the demand, with 500,000 troops available. I've got plenty. I need 1,700 artillery, and I have 3,000 available, so I can backfill that. This says 1,000, but it rounds to the closest 1,000. So I must have more than 1,200, otherwise this would be red, and it would show me how many I'm short. And I need only 720 trucks. Perfect. So I'm going to jump back out here, and support equipment is going to be my problem for completing this. I have 600 and counting up, positive note, but I need to have 1,200 to switch an army to fully equip another army with that template. So we're 500 short, getting almost 16 a day. We're looking good there. All right, completed another national focus. So we are in May. I am going to do this one now, and I will have several of these available shortly. Oh, this is fantastic. Timing is perfect here. So once this construction is done, I'm going to early bird research this tech here using that bio. Come on, there we go. That's done. That was the hard part out of the equation. And I'm going to start training this army, and I'm going to switch this army to that same template. It will tell me I'm short 850. I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And support equipment. Was I really short 850? I don't think I was. It says 335. Or I only had 850 to give. Maybe that's what it was. So Albania just submitted to Italy. Who cares? I could care less about any of those countries at this point. I'm short on trains, but those will get backfilled. And I've almost got 13 days to go before I backfill my yellow army. I don't care if they're fully backfilled yet. I'm going to go ahead and start training them. So the blue army is trained. It is May. Now it's time to give the blue army some less than defensive, offensive in particular orders. So I'm going to take these three and I'm going to tell them that you're going to do a naval invasion. When you do that, your defensive order across the territory is removed. So those three are still what I'm manipulating. I'm not manipulating all 24. So I'm going to right click on left click where I'm coming from, right click where I'm going to, and then hit enter. So those three divisions have a naval invasion order to invade here. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to say naval invasion, left click, right click, hit enter. I'm going to take this group of three. I'm going to tell them you're going to do a naval invasion. From here, left click, to here, right click, hit enter to confirm it. Now, the rest of the army, and even though I have selected the 9 that I've already given order to, because they're already on a specific order, they will ignore this order. I want the rest of them to come up here, build a front line right there, and an offensive line. You want to take that territory. However, I don't need you to start there. I want you to start from here. So, of my 24 divisions that are the enhanced offensive division template, which are already trained to level 3, 9 will be invading here. That will be the easiest win. The other 15 will be working here. And I am at the highest motorization level, so the supply will be the best it's going to get as it's currently configured. So I'm going to hit F4. We're going to look at supply as the different divisions move around, just to confirm we don't have a lot of bad supply configurations. Okay, I need to not do this yet. Not yet. I'm going to go ahead and jump to excavation 3 first, just to give me a little more oomph out of my resources. Give me 10% extra of the resources I'm currently mining, digging up, whatever. Advanced machine tools. You guys are good. We're at 1939. We're good there. I'm also going to study this early because this has a tech that I want to put on my Stuka dive bombers. All right, and now I'm going to move down to, we're at June, all of June, all of July, all of I'm torn here. I think I'm in a good enough position. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit early before, I may wait till September. I'm undecided, but I'm going to complete the focus, which gives me the ability to start a war with Poland. I'm going to knock that out real quick. So I need to finish wrapping up my general assignments. So here's my field marshal. I'm going to give them several traits that enhance my ability to fight. Here's another general, and that general is going to have infantry skills. Boom. Get another general. This is the one sitting on the Maginot Line. I don't need any special skills. This is the one in Poland. I'm going to give him some skills. This is the one that's in Indonesia, and I want infantry skills so that he's a better fighter. And this is the one in Suriname, South America. And this guy, I want to have Mountaineer, not that he's in the mountains, but because he can also get Jungle Rat while he's there. And if he gets Jungle Rat, that enables another capability for a general, in particular Field Marshal, which is a very strong skill. So, I think we're good here. They're still training, almost done. Let's wrap up our training here. I'm going to give Pink an offensive order to take those territories. I'm going to give my Field Marshal for those two armies that are side by side on the border of Poland another offensive order. And then I'm going to be stretching the line all the way to the end once these guys have finished training. There is low supply in this area, so I don't want them to train there. Come on. There we go. Almost done. Now I'm going to go ahead and choose the edit mode. Right click and drag that offensive line to the end of Poland. So all my troops will shift accordingly. I'm going to also take my tanks. They're fully trained, and I'm going to give them an order to operate from that location and do an offensive line over to here, attack that direction. We're still in June, we're still plenty of time. F3, I've got 1,200 planes. How many do I have available? 400 more. So of these 1,200, which are not trained, I'm confused about that, but I'll cry about it later. Do I have 400 available? Close enough. I'm going to split all these guys in half and have them train. And these guys aren't going to stay here. They've got long range, so I'm sending them to Indonesia. Those bombers are going to work with the Blue Army. These naval bombers are going to work over that sea zone. These guys are going to finish training, and while we're waiting for them to train, we're going to take these guys and tell them to start training. And how does our construction look? We're almost done with Suriname, but you can see if we come back out here and hit F4, we've got a fair amount of good supply in this area, and that will prevent any successful attacks from the French on one side or the British on the other side from taking this territory from us. We are in fantastic shape there. No, look at our convoys. We got hardly any left. Why? Because we're having to supply a crap load of rubber because of the amount we're producing and get them out there. So we're looking good here. Prototype decision, get that taken care of real quick. Another Mayo decision tree. Let's knock this out real quick. Oh, looks like I've got one more Mayo. Here is the naval bomber Mayo. And I've got an auto Mayo to deal with. There, now the Mayos are all dealt with. I'm building outdated equipment. How am I looking artillery-wise. We got 1100. I'm going to go ahead and make the swap. You're going to see a hit in efficiency when I make the swap, but if this were concentrated factories instead of dispersed, the hit would be enormous. Just a heads up there. So I'm swapping out to a better artillery gun. I did take a hit, but it would be almost down here to the very beginning if it were concentrated. Concentrated has to build its efficiency from scratch again, basically. So we're looking good there. We've got 10 out of 20 here. And we've got several in the queue there. Let's go ahead and just augment the number of mills being fabricated. And let's come back out here. Let's continue to build mills as our priority and our dockyards as our secondary. So we've got loads and loads of mills we're still constructing. And let's take a peek out here. Oh, something I haven't done that I needed to do a while ago, but I'll cry about it later. So I need to get my submarines out to Indonesia. I still have time to do it. Still have time to do it. Fantastic. And let's augment our surface fleet by getting the trained ships out of the training fleet and up to the surface fleet. All right, let's get all 40 here. Boom. And we're going to split this twice to do 4 fleets of 10. And let's tell them that they can split off as needed. And let's give them an order, and that order is convoy rating here and here. The reason I have to get my Navy out here, or at least a portion of my Navy out here, is because I have to control the sea zone in order to execute a naval invasion. Britain and France or no other countries are doing anything out here. So when my 40 subs show up out here, they will control the sea zone, which will allow me to execute my naval invasion. That's why I'm doing it. Also, this is a high traffic area for trade. So the more that I control this sea zone with convoy rating, the less resources that the Allies will get from anything having to traverse that area. So, how are we looking out here for fabrication? We're looking good. We do have some ships that are getting repaired. I'm fine with that. Supply. Short a few trains. I'll cry about that later. Infantry equipment looks fantastic. Trucks looks amazing. Supply equipment, could be better, but could be worse. Artillery, we're looking good. So, unpause, and we're getting closer and closer to our next conflict. So right before we start the war with Poland, we're going to cut this video off because the war with Poland, that is our third video. This is all prep work so that we're going to be successful. And for those who are very new to the game, you'll appreciate the prep work tutorial. For those who are more veteran type, you might have quit watching and not even watched the second or the third video because you already know how to take advantage of the Allies once you understand that creative start that I showed you. So, where are we going here? Danziger War, another 19 days and counting. How are we looking here? finish training. Did they finish? Or no, we still have a couple more. Almost done. We got 1,200 there. How many extra? 500 extra. So these guys, we're going to start assigning. We're going to give them an order, and 3 at a time. We're going to give 3 to green, 3 to yellow, 3 to magenta, or pink, or whatever you want to call it, and 3 to my tanks. Those are the 4 armies involved in the Poland invasion. These guys we're going to split in half and train more. There it is, Poland saying no. I don't have a war goal yet. It takes 24 hours from 1 a.m. on the 16th, not 11 a.m. So at 1 a.m. on the 17th, I can declare war in Poland. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to wait the additional days so I can get a few more airplanes positioned properly uh, for my goals. So we have completed that. Um, my next focus is going to be dive bombers. That will be my next focus. So we're approaching the end of prep work. So there's the day later. We can declare war if we want to. We're not going to. We're going to wait, and we're going to end this video on the 30th of August. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to take 2 of these guys early bird wise, and I'm going to go ahead and tell them that they're assigned to the Blue Army. So they're going to fly over to Indonesia. I'm going to take these 2 and split them, and they're going to continue to train. And these guys will eventually, actually, these 400, you guys are going to go there and train right there. Fantastic. So I still have extra fighters. Good. I have very few convoys. So one of the last things I'm going to do in preparation for war is I'm going to stop trying to send convoys when I don't have a lot of spares. Stop sending convoys into sea zones where I'm going to lose convoys to submarine attacks. So I'm going to hit F2 and you can see that those are now blocked sea zones. When I unpause, all these routes will shift up here. There they are, and I'm actually out of convoys. I need 5 additional for trade. I still need a lot for supply. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to reprioritize convoy production. Just like I did early in the game, I'm going to go ahead and shift my subs, because I do need sub manufacturing more important than I need these. But I'm going to reassign dockyards to building convoys so I can backfill my convoys. We are sitting pretty right now. So I'm going to unpause. And it fluctuates between having a surplus or not having a surplus, but we're right on the verge of not really having enough. So we're on the 26th of August. When did I say I was going to pause? On the 30th. Because we're going to declare war on the 1st of September as per the historical timeline. Almost there. I'm going to slow things down. So at 1 a.m., there we go. 2 a.m., close enough. So I would like to thank you for joining me on the most boring part of this playthrough. which has to do with carrying Germany from Anschluss and defeating the Dutch East Indies and the Netherlands, all the way up to the point where they're going to trigger World War II. So the next phase is World War II by declaring war and then invading Poland. In addition to that, we'll be invading uh, British Malaya, and we'll be taking that probably as our first country, the first victim of Germany in World War II. Thank you again, and I hope you have a moment to join me for part 3 coming up shortly.